I going to take my job?
You're smarter than that.
I'm Paula Williams.
I'm John Williams.
And we are ABCI, and ABCI's mission is
to help all you ladies and gentlemen out there in the aviation world sell more of your products and services.
Exactly. And this has been just about everything that everybody's been talking about for the past few weeks since the rollout of ChatGPT as a free beta model. And
I don't know if it's a rollout or they just released this animal into the public.
Right. And now all of a sudden it's all anybody can talk about. And all of our office hours, all of our conversations, every time we get into a conversation while we're getting haircuts or anything else has been about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we figured we would have this conversation here since it's happening everywhere else as well, right?
Yep.
Okay. First of all, we're assuming that everybody that's listening to this is in aviation sales or marketing, right?
Well, but before you get into the
minutia. Fine.
Aviation people have been using AI since the beginning of time. What do you call an autopilot?
Exactly. And, it's been part of our culture forever. Assuming that we're all aviation people, this is something we've been dealing with since the beginning of time. If you know anything about the industry, which you do if you're even in sales and marketing in the aviation industry, you know that we've always been in the forefront of technology. Even in aerospace and even in plain old aviation, we've been dealing with Autoland, we've been dealing with...
Even before that.
Yeah.
The trim tabs, by any other thing, is automation. You set it, but you have to manipulate. So you set this thing, and depending on what happens, it maintains the elevator where it needs to be, or the rudder, or wherever you got trim tabs. You don't just set it and forget it.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
But even if you set the aileron or the rudder or anything else, you still can't just say hands off and let it go.
Right.
It's close, but...
Aviation has always been a negotiation or a collaboration between people and technology. And whenever the technology gets out of hand, bad things happen. Whenever the people don't use available technology correctly, bad things happen. So it's always been there. It's just that this happens to be a noisier and more public example, I guess.
Even the fuel control's got what they call FADEC now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? That's intelligent automation.
Is it?
Heck yeah.
Okay.
It uses inputs from various locations on the engine, sets the fuel and mixture depending on what kind of engine it is.
Right.
And the fuel flow, so you're good.
So in marketing, we're using two tools more than ever before, that are kind of brand new. And, one is ChatGPT, the other is MidJourney, which makes images. And so I wanted to share this. This is actually a response to a query to create a schematic for Rocketdyne's F1 engine, right? They make beautiful drawings. MidJourney does fantastic things, and it gives people great ideas. The problem is that some of these are just completely insurmountably impossible, right? It can make fantastic charts and graphs, and I think all of us have become a lot more discerning over the past few years about data and how it's presented. So you see a chart on the TV news and you go, that's distorted. There have been a lot of instances of that in the last little while. And I think ChatGPT just really brings it to the forefront of public thought and public discourse, which is not a bad thing.
Nope.
Pilots have been doing this forever, but now regular people are having these conversations. So I think that's kind of cool. So, we put together a mini course on using ChatGPT in aviation marketing. And I asked MidJourney to create an image for us for this course. And I said, please create represent AI as a baby alien in the cockpit of an aircraft, just to illustrate the point that you never want it to touch the controls. You don't want it to be in charge of the flight. That's just not a realistic expectation. What it came up with was very similar to the Disney Grogu.
Grogu.
Grogu,
I almost had it right.
Exactly. You can tell we are not completely over the top Mandalorian fans. But anyway, I decided to use it anyway because it was different enough, and I thought it was really clever. It has 3 nostrils. Who would have thought of that, you know? There's a lot of things about this that I like, and there's a lot of things about MidJourney that I like. There's a lot of things about ChatGPT that I like. That doesn't mean I'm going to allow them to make decisions for our company. So.
There's a third AI that's about to get out there as well.
What's that?
Does text-to-speech.
What's it called?
Oh, I don't remember what it is, but...
They've had text-to-speech forever.
No.
Okay.
Not like this.
Okay.
And it goes backwards. There's speech-to-text as well.
Oh, nice. Cool. I remember working at Wells Fargo when we were using JAWS, which was actually for vision-impaired people. We had people on our team that were programmers that used JAWS, which would read text, and they would turn it up so fast you could barely even follow it because they were so used to listening to this text-to-speech generator. And it was pretty amazing even at that time, and that was in the early 2000s, you know.
Well, back in the early 80s, I helped some guys put together a quasi-speech program for an individual who got MS and was barely able to move a pencil around and punch buttons on a computer. The guy was amazing, but we were able to help him out doing that.
So, yeah, and Stephen Hawking, I think that was early 2000s as well, had that kind of ability. So, you know, all of these things are very, very cool and very fun to think about. Here's another example of the limitations and also why it's never going to take your job, right? Okay. Alex Broomfield, he's a announcer on NPR. He actually does really, really good storytelling. But anyway, ChatGPT generated a school report for his 9-year-old son, you know, and they were talking about it. It was kind of an experiment that they did. And ChatGPT said Saturn is so large that all the other planets will fit into it. And of course, in typical 9-year-old fashion, he's just like, wrong. Jupiter is bigger than Saturn. So, you know, just basic logic would indicate that this is not correct.
Yeah.
And I think all of us have, when I was growing up, if something came from a computer, we took it as more credible than kids take things now. Kids that have grown up with computers have a healthy disrespect, I think, for their veracity on any given topic. And, you know, when I grew up, if something came out of a computer, then all of the grown-ups were like,
that's it.
This is the right answer because a computer said so. But I think kids that are growing up now, and a lot of the schools, in fact, this 9-year-old's teacher was talking about how they needed to shift the education system from memorizing all the county seats in your state or whatever to being able to discern fact from fiction. You know, how do you know that what ChatGPT said was wrong? You know, how can you apply logic? How can
Or can you prove it right?
Verify sources? How can you be sure that what you're looking at is really true, you know?
This'll, once people get used to it and learn those things, this will help root out the deep fake crap going on.
Oh, yeah. So I have a lot of, I guess, optimism about how this is going to impact society, how it's going to impact the next generation, how it's going to impact a lot of things. And if you spend any time with little kids, you'd understand where that's coming from. You know, there's just a lot of, I think, benefit to growing up with access to all of this information and learning how to use it, how to cooperate with it, how to not depend on it unless it's valid, you know, and unless it's trusted and verified and everything else. So let's talk about in our company, right? The most, I guess the thing that people ask the most is, you know, are you still going to use human being copywriters? And my answer is more than ever, right?
Yeah, resounding yes.
Right, exactly, because we're generating more content than ever. We need a human being to apply that logic, you know, and to tell us where the obvious errors are and to reframe it, because there are some things that AI is not great at. And
so far.
Storytelling structure, building suspense, humor.
Grammar. intense. I mean, you can tell I say you because I suspect that all you guys are educated enough. But I read stuff on a lot of the news media, and I can tell when it's AI generated, and they're not checking it. And I get to the point where I see that and I just discard it and go to something else.
It's interesting because I was taking a course in Udemy on using AI, and they recommended that you take AI generated content and you run it through Grammarly, which is another computer program, right? And it will catch more errors, and things like that. But still, you can't use a computer to check a computer. Well, you can, but it's far more efficient to use a human being, right?
Yeah. Although, you know that all the computers in the airliners, they've got three, on Airbus, they've got at least three computers for every type of thing they got. And if two of them don't agree, then they get the third one in there.
Wow.
And if all three don't agree, they pop a red light for the pilot.
Yeah. And then,
I mean, I'm oversimplifying, but you get the idea.
Then they delegate to the human. And I guess that's the main thing about this is you just have to become a good steward of the AI that you use. You have to be a good team leader, even if AI is part of your team. And
it'll make copywriters much better.
Oh, yeah. It'll make everything much better, I think.
Yeah, but you can't do without a copywriter much unless you want to look like a fool because this thing screws up.
It'll make some things worse, I think, in the short term. I know Google is concerned, that the market's going to be flooded with low-quality AI content, and they are right to be concerned. But I know they're also working on how to
they're concerned about the bottom line more than whether the
content's... that's true. Good point.
Because they just are. And on top of that, Microsoft is supposed to implement AI GPT into Bing soon.
Oh, cool.
If not already.
Yeah. I've already signed up for the, when they start charging for it, $20 a month. I think it's very, very worth it. Right now it's free to use, but it is a little buggy because of the scaling issues that they've had, of course. So.
Well, but you're getting in on the bottom end of it, and you're going to learn some things that will be quite useful later.
Right. So I guess my advice to anybody who is concerned about AI taking their job is to learn it. Let it help enhance what you do, and don't hide from it, and don't dismiss it as irrelevant or stupid or whatever.
The only way it would take your job is if you're not doing a good job of what you're supposed to be doing anyway.
Exactly. Or if
it does it better, and if you're doing quality work, it won't.
Right. Absolutely.
Period.
So, yeah, if you're in sales and marketing, you cannot be replaced by a computer. But you can use it to enhance what you do and get better at what you do.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Cool. See you next week.
Ciao.